Okay, so we'll call the Barrio Historico Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting for well, it's not Wednesday, no, Monday, November 7th at 4 p.m.
Oh, sorry.
What, for Wednesday instead of Monday?
Yeah.
That's okay. We call that meeting to order. Roll call. Paolo is here. Mary Lou
is here.
Paul Horvat.
Yeah, I'm here.
Grace.
Here.
And Philip is not here today because he is traveling. Item number 2, approval of the last minutes from October 10th, 2022.
I make a motion to approve them.
Okay, I will second that. I already checked that out. All in favor? Paul?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Mary Lou?
Yes.
And Paolo, yes. Jody called the audience, number 3.
We did not receive anything.
Okay. Can I bring up a question? You know, I was at a minor review today.
Uh-huh.
Do you know about that review at 668 South Main?
I vaguely know about it. What was your question?
Well, you know, it seemed like, and Michael wasn't very clear about it, it seemed like she had a very intensive like development package that she had a lot of problems with, and it got kicked back out. So now she's just doing a minor roof review. She wanted to change out the painted galvanized roofing and replace it with new Galvalume roofing.
So what's your question? That she got kicked out, or?
Well, my question is, there's a lot of work going on over there, and I don't know if there's a permit or not.
668, tell me the address again.
668 South Main.
South Main.
Is that the one that's just north of 18th?
Just west of 18th. There's the empty
Yeah,
lot
I
right
saw
on the
that
corner.
and wondered if there was a permit.
And I mean, she seems to be doing a good job, but I don't know what's going on with that really. She's going to submit another package for doing landscape, and I told her she needed to submit for doing site walls too, but there was like a lot of interior work going on.
Well, so the interior work, you know, you don't review.
Yeah, I know.
So that is on her. She was originally, I'm sorry, I'm looking back at the emails. I mean, most of her stuff that she was talking to us about was the gutters, roof, like a cistern, aka a water harvesting,
Right.
tank. And then I think originally it's been
I mean, I think she pulled the roof off with the intent of just replacing the roof, and then she found a disaster underneath. So she's repairing that as needed.
yeah, I think she originally, I want to say when I originally saw this, she had some other stuff come in. She's had some issues submitting, and then, you know, we changed our permitting system.
Right.
So it got wonky. It got super fun. I'll ask Michael about it though.
Okay. So we approved her roof. We did not approve the gutters yet because she didn't really detail how she wanted them. So that's going to come back for a minor review in the future.
Okay.
Okay. So that was just it. Number 4, the Tucson Pima County Historical Commission separation letter discussion. Who would like to start with that?
So Michael sent that draft out to everyone after the last meeting, right?
Yeah. Let me see here.
No, I didn't get it.
You did not. Oh, okay.
No.
Let me find it.
I'm having a hard time finding it too now.
I remember seeing it.
I do too. I mean, I read it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So it looks like it was sent out, yeah, Monday, October 10th, 5:25.
From Michael Grace.
Yes.
You know, I don't have it, which is weird, but I remember getting it and reading it.
On the 10th, you said?
Yes.
Too many emails. Okay, let's see. Oh, here. Okay, I found it. I'll forward it.
Thank you.
There you go. Did you all get it?
Not yet for me.
Do you
I'm
want me to,
checking it.
do you want me to pull it up on my screen? I don't know if that'll help, or you just want to read it separately.
Maybe it'll help if you have it on your screen as well.
Okay, let's see. There, so you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
What's up, Kitty?
Tell me when you want me to scroll.
Yeah. I'm good. It's whenever everybody else is.
Does anybody want me to go back up?
I'm good. So Grace, you took Philip's notes and created this wonderful letter.
Yeah, mostly just compiling, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. The only one I have a question on is going back to the design guidelines. Did we discuss having the city develop those?
I know that's something that Philip has brought up in the past, and I thought it made sense, you know, for clarity, for sort of accessibility from the applicant side, and then also just consistency in terms of how
Yeah.
much input or frustration to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that, but then my question is, should we even be working on these guidelines if the city's going to develop new ones?
Jody, does the city have a plan to develop the guidelines, or is this something we're asking for?
That is something that you are asking for.
Are any of the other neighborhoods asking for that?
I
No,
don't think so.
None of them. Huh?
They don't trust the city any further than they can throw them. Okay?
I mean, it would make sense. Like,
Bluntly put.
yeah.
well, so to be clear, El Presidio and Fort Lowell aren't doing anything with their design guidelines. West University, their design guidelines were updated back in 2015, I think. And so when they go through, they're just doing minor updates, like for materials and stuff like that, or if there's anything that's like changed. Like they're taking a second look at 6-foot fences in the front yard, that kind of thing, that are allow for visibility, specifically along streets like Speedway and 6 and stuff like that. It's really, I would say, you guys and Armory Park that are delving more comprehensively into expanding your design guidelines to be more consistent with what West University has done several years ago.
And Armory Park has gotten theirs approved,
No,
but are they able to operate off of those without them being approved?
no, they're operating off their old ones.
Okay. So
Out
I'm
of curiosity, what's holding up their guidelines?
yeah.
When they originally brought them, their design guidelines they went to PRS, and PRS had a lot of comments. They were long. They were like 38, 40 pages long. They were
Comments or the
no, the
the
design
guidelines.
guidelines, the design guidelines. And they were redundant in a lot of places. So they went back, and they had, mind you, they had some really big plans that they may still have, where they wanted to do like a 3-fold brochure. Then they wanted to do like a edited down brief, like the Reader's Digest version, for those of you who are old enough to remember that. And then they wanted to do the full-blown version. So they had like this 3-pronged approach that they wanted to do. And then now they're working on it, but the main guy who was doing it moved to Pennsylvania. So it has floundered, and now they have another person working on it, but it's not going as quick as it had previously. So there's multiple issues going on with it.
But I mean, it sounds like, so their biggest hangup initially was just having 38 to 45 pages, right? Which that's what we have.
It's a lot. Yeah. And I had mentioned to you guys
Yeah.
that you might want to think about
Pare it down.
down.
So maybe we can start getting through the guidelines, and then we need to pare it down. I mean, what's an acceptable number of pages?
Well, I mean, you have to think about, I mean, you want to convey the information, but you also don't want to be redundant with information. Like a lot of the
Right.
information that Armory Park had, they were citing code sections, and you're like, why are you verbatim citing code sections when you can just refer to the code section, like with the number? And
Right.
then they were talking delving into like the city review process, and you're like, why are you doing that? I mean, a lot of the stuff really wasn't necessary for them to do.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And now the review process on the city side is somewhat different because we have Energov set up. So they're going to have to go back and address that too.
So getting back to the letter of separation, does anybody have any comments on it besides what I brought up?
And you can have that comment about the design guidelines in there. Ultimately,
Yeah.
we take our direction from the direction that city council and mayor tell us to. So, you know, you're welcome to have that. They may or may not
Accept it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem accepting this letter and sending it off. Do we vote on it?
Who's going
Jody?
to sign it? Yeah, you vote on it. It's
Well, I mean, we could all sign it, or the two co-chairs can sign it, however, whatever you see fit.
well, it's not my letter. It's
Okay.
it's your
I think
letter. So
having the-
whatever you guys see fit.
Having the chair, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a motion to approve this letter and have it signed by the two co-chairs and emailed out. Grace, can you put just a signature line in the bottom of it? The two of them?
Yep.
With,
Absolutely.
my name printed and Philip's name printed and a date.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor? Mary Lou?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Grace?
Aye.
And Paolo, yes. You know, I so we need both signatures on there, Jody?
You do, I mean, that's up to you.
You know, but because I'm thinking about this, Philip's not at the meeting. He hasn't seen the letter. If he doesn't approve the letter, he's not going to sign it. We're not going to get the letter off in time, which we're already late.
You're not, but you're not late because again, we're still in a holding pattern. I don't even have a date for mayor and council yet. I haven't even gotten the letter. We finally met with the SHPO office and they were gonna, and we spoke with the guy from the NPS and they were gonna do a memo that's gonna get signed by NPS to basically say.
We've got time.
Yeah, so you got time. That's my
Okay,
point.
so let's just leave it like that. And I guess Grace, you'll forward that to Jody and then Jody will send it to Philip and I.
Yeah, she can send it. I mean, yeah, sure.
I mean, does it work that way or can she send it directly to us?
You know, she can send it directly to you. It's
Okay.
Don't copy everybody on there, but just send it to Philippe and Paolo.
So that's not an open meeting violation?
Well, it probably is because
Probably is.
Yeah. Fine, send it to me. I'll send it
Yeah.
out to you guys.
Okay.
Right, cool. Item number 4 is finished. Now, item number 5, the Barrio Historico, Historic Zone, Design Guidelines discussion. I believe I had to not make the last meeting because I had a doctor emergency with my daughter. So if whoever was directing that one, if you can do it again, that would be great.
Yeah, I think I was driving last time. Let me make sure that I get logged in here.
Let me make sure that I can. They changed some of our licensing stuff. So let me make sure I'll make you a co-host, Grace. That way you can share your screen.
Okay, while I'm finding this, I saw an email come through that I haven't had a chance to read yet. from Mary Lou about the Adobe section. Maybe
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
You want to talk about that right now, Grace? Is that what you said?
Yeah, while I'm pulling up the rest
Yeah.
of the guidelines.
Mary
that
Lou,
we
do you
did.
want to just talk about the letter?
You mean the thing on the Adobe?
Yeah.
Okay. You asked me to put something together at some point in time. I don't remember which meeting it was, and I put something together. It's the first brush. It's rough. And what I tried to do was to sort of inform people, what it is that you have when you have an Adobe structure. And a lot of people think it's just mud bricks, but there's a lot more to it than mud bricks.
Oh, yeah.
So what I did was a background. It's from Garrison's work on Adobe construction. I don't know if it ever became final or not. It was a technical thing through the SHPO's office. And I just boiled that down. And then I had another article through the New Mexico geology on Adobe bricks, and pulled from that. And then I did a treatment thing, which I think is too light, maybe. And, like I said, I'm not wedded to this. If you guys want to edit down, I'm fine. I just wanted to sort of get the information out there.
Well, I think it's a very good start. I read it before. I'm just going to read it again right now. Mary Lou, on that first section, down towards the end, it says the thick adobe walls were reduced to 10 to 12 inches and often encased in concrete. What exactly does that mean? Like, is that stucco?
Yeah, it's stucco. What they did is they thinned the stuff down, and mostly you just see this lump. And I didn't realize it. Bill Ballock's little house has one of those, where the adobe is literally encased in the concrete. And it looks like a big lump.
Does Bill, which house is that? Just
The little white house
where is, what street is
on
it?
on 8th
8th and
17th. It's just south of that intersection. It's
on
across.
the east side.
It's well, no, it's across from Pasquale.
Yeah, that one. He was having problems on it with rain.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
one.
the one. We got that
Okay.
squared away.
House. I mean, it's nobody's living there. It's more of a shack, right?
Well, it's to that point where the doors and the windows get to go back in.
Oh, so he's working on it right now?
Slowly.
Okay.
Mary Lou, would you say one more time where it is? Just so we can look at it.
It's on the corner of 17th and 8th or Convent.
It's right across from Diane Keaton's house, her old house.
Yeah.
17th.
It's just a little house. Oops, go south.
Wow, that is an old photo. Look
Oops,
left.
there we
That
go.
one.
That one right there.
When you say encased in concrete, like,
Okay, You see the, I don't know if you can't see it. There's not enough contrast. You see the edge underneath, there's a lump underneath those two windows.
Okay,
And it's,
yeah.
okay, and that encases the adobe.
Hmm.
It's really weird, and
Huh.
So that house is built between, what was it, like 1918, 1945, possibly,
Yep.
or 1915?
yeah.
Okay. What is Garrison's first name?
Oh, if you'd asked me,
Jim.
What is it?
yeah, James
Jim.
Garrison.
I think the formal is James Garrison, but he goes by Jim. He's retired. He's been retired for years.
And who exactly is this? I've never heard of.
He
He's in it.
he was the state historic preservation officer for like decades.
Okay.
And Smith 82 is the geology, or the New Mexico geology, November 1984.
So, I didn't realize there was houses in the neighborhood that were burnt adobe.
Okay, I think the ones that, okay, same intersection, 17th and 8th. Go on the intersection, it's the northwest. It's north of Pasquale.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are, but I'm not sure.
But that's a new building, the one we're looking at.
Yeah. I was covering the bases of what's in the neighborhood. They're not old.
Yeah, that one. I remember they built that in like the mid 2000s. I don't think those are burnt adobe blocks though.
No?
I think that
Okay.
came from clay mine adobe that's out of business now. Because I remember speaking to the contractor back then where he got his blocks, and I think it was clay mine adobe.
So what are they then?
They were a cement stabilized adobe block, and it came in
Oh.
that lighter color.
Okay. My bad.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I mean, I wouldn't call it your bad. Yeah, he used to make a lot of adobe blocks like back in early 2000s, and then forget his first name, and he passed away. He had a big mine out towards Ryan Airfield that he'd build these blocks.
In that case, then probably you could remove that one that I'm aware of.
The burnt adobe.
Yeah.
There might be some other houses in there that are stuccoed over. I don't know. Maybe.
Jody, is there a way to search for that type of thing, or we could go through each of the historic inventories and see if it's mentioned burnt adobe?
You could, the inventory forms are kind of old though, and so I don't know that they, one, are all that correct when they're spelling out what stuff is the materials,
Sure.
or if it's even mentioned, because some of them may just be like stuccoed, so you don't actually know what's underneath.
That sounds like a great project for somebody with a lot of time.
Really?
I mean,
Really?
document all the different houses. Oh,
Well, and there are, I don't know. if I have those or if I've actually looked that in depth at them. They did do a new survey as part of the NHL, the National Historic Landmark that they're doing for the district.
Mhm.
And so they kind of took a second look, but I don't know that I'd have to figure that out if they even went to that depth to figure
Like
out.
documenting each contributing property.
Well, like burnt adobe versus adobe, like they got
Yeah.
into that detail.
But there must be a list that documents each contributing property, right?
Yeah, there's
Instead
a,
of just not on the map. Like, is there a line item list or no?
no, there's inventory forms. We don't really have a line item list. I mean, I could probably extrapolate that information from the map. And
You could?
well, I'd have to ask the GIS guy. Don't put me on the spot yet.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's got time on his hands. That would be great to have.
Just a list of the
The
contributors.
list, because I mean, slowly but surely, I mean, I'm committing myself to things I probably can't do, but go to each house and just look at it and see if it can, determination could be made by looking at it from the outside. So essentially it'd be an inventory list of the different contributing properties.
I'll ask. Don't commit me, but I'll ask.
No. What are we looking at here?
This is the GIS. I
And
was
those
just gonna see if it
triangles
would
are
export them for us. The triangles are landmarks and then the districts.
blue.
We just, and actually, if you go in National Register listing, which didn't used to be where it says National Register status, that actually didn't used to be clicked. You had to go like check mark that. But now we keep that permanently check marked so that when you go in, when you zoom in, you'll start to see the different layers. So the gray are contributing, the white are non-contributing. Mind you, I still have to go through this district and verify these because we've had a couple issues, but generally it's mostly okay.
Which intersection is that?
I went back to that same intersection we were at. This is the non-contributing properties at on that
Okay.
corner.
Right. Oh yeah, it's Convent and 8th.
I can probably turn the labels on. But yeah, I think Jody, in general, the the layers export pretty consistently. I was wondering if we could just figure it out right now. We'd probably need to select the area and then go from there.
And then you just click on it, gives you the address, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you can get the inventory form right there where it says state historic property inventory. But see how the inventory forms are,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of detail on these.
What is a question mark?
What's the what?
Question mark. I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I think whoever was putting that together wasn't sure what was going on with it. Like I said, I gotta go back.
House, isn't it? Yeah.
I have to go back to this and verify stuff.
Oh, that's an infill.
Yeah, it's
That's
a new
David
house.
Carter's house.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so that does sound like a project.
Yeah. And what does the V stand for? I see a V.
Vacant.
Vacant,
Vacant.
vacant.
feel like I have seen a list, or maybe Armory Park made their own list of addresses. I'm trying to remember where they got it from.
There is a list that is in the technical standards manual,
Oh, okay.
but it's out of date. It's not a currently, because that's never, as long as the UDC's been, I don't think it's been updated.
Well, how new does it have to be? They're not getting any. We're not adding historic properties, right?
Sometimes you add historic properties.
Oh,
Sometimes
we do.
people,
Okay.
yeah, sometimes stuff gets restored. And they then can, because they're restored and they've returned their integrity, basically, they can become historic properties or designated resources. And then sometimes you have properties that get bumped off and become non-contributors.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
It happens more often that they become non-contributors, unfortunately, but occasionally you have the reverse way.
Okay. Should we switch back over to the design guidelines?
Yeah, sorry.
So it looks like we stopped at the structured parking. I think we talked a little bit about that last time. Turning the parking away from housing, right? I think that was the discussion.
Yes.
So you're not exiting onto a smaller street and shining your lights right into someone's house.
So how does that work? Like no structured parking onto residential streets? Like there's very few alleys over there. I mean, everything's accessed from pretty much primary arteries.
Yeah, I think the example we were looking at is actually in Armory Park, so it may be a condition that we don't have here.
Yeah, because it seems like Armory Park, all those houses have access to an alley. And I mean, when we're talking about structured parking, is that parking garages or is that just a residential garage?
I think we were trying to do both because of what we've seen happen other places with the multi-storied structured parking.
Right.
Well, and bear in mind, the one that was being proposed for Armory Park is like half a level below, half a level above, and then one full level. So it's like 1.5 above. So it's not even that multi-story, but you have the one, if you'll recall, that project, I think they kind of gave up, but you got a glimpse of it for the platform parking that was over across the street from Carrillo School that they were thinking about. Do you guys recall that one?
Well, I saw that advertised because I think they were trying to sell that parking lot and they had this building brochure that went along with that. Did you guys see that?
No.
I mean, it looked like something out of Scottsdale and it was like, that's insane.
Well,
That one right there.
I remember the building that basically the ground level was parking, and there were 2 levels of apartments on top, total of 22 apartments.
Yeah, so in that instance, I mean, that's kind of in the parking structure genre, I guess. But it was just parking at the ground level with a platform of new construction housing on top.
This is being proposed between Carrillo and EXO.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Well, it just kind of came up. They withdrew. I warned them enough that they finally gave up, I guess.
I think you can still find the drawings on the City of Tucson website.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking for. That's not it.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, I think if you go to the GIS maps and then just click on the lot, and then you can find the submittals that were given to the city.
Yeah, so okay, so I did that. I'm here. Is that the right parcel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And then we go property research. I just didn't, that's the other one across the street. I think.
That's
Yeah,
it.
this is them.
Yeah, there we
Oh
go.
my
Okay.
God. God. Bauhaus architecture run amok.
Yeah. When did that come through, Jody? I don't remember seeing that.
It didn't, they were going to come through as a courtesy review and I had posted it, and then at their request, they withdrew from the courtesy review, so they didn't even have that. So it was posted briefly, and I know like Paul saw it because Paul was asking questions about it, I remember. But yeah, they actually didn't end up going forward.
Oh my God.
Totally out of touch.
Ugh.
And the 20 apartments were like less than 500 square feet each. They were.
Oh, yes. The student housing boom.
But see how they have done the parking, like this is kind of a parking structure-esque. I mean, it's not multi-story, but it's still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they actually, I mean, I know we all don't like this design, but if you look on the side, they did a lot to try to kind of cover the parking garage. So they had some screening material on one side, and they had like a fair amount of landscaping on the other sides to kind of disguise it. So, I mean, if it's something to consider, if you're going to have language about parking structures, that, you know, these are the kind of things you want. How do you want them to screen it? Because typically parking garages, they're screened, but they're not screened necessarily with like solid walls, because you have to deal with exhaust and stuff like that. So, you know, landscaping or some kind of perforated metal or something along those lines, those are things to think about for. And then at the TCC, I would add on the upper floors, they did the screening, but it's going to take a while. They have like vines that will go up, that will grow up on the side. That's the intention. So they have like this cable system that allows the vines to grow up. But these are all kind of things to consider for potential parking garages, if you want to go that direction.
Well, I certainly hope we never see anything like that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
I can't control what gets submitted.
Yeah.
I try to be honest with people and say, yeah, this is not going to go easy.
Just count on it. Ugh.
So can we go back to the design guidelines and
Yeah.
maybe, um, so I'm fine with the highlighted yellow under that, just no parking structures or garages can be visible from the streetscape.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and then the other one, just the one that was blue before, no. I mean, that one, I don't know how we're gonna get away with it because I just don't think there's many options. Because there are no alleys.
So I think they specifically didn't want them going into the alley,
They didn't.
correct? Did not.
But so that line, if I'm reading it correctly, says that there should not be any garages onto the residential streets. Like
So
whether they're hidden behind a wall or something.
you'd only get to exit your structured parking onto Cushing, Stone, or Main, it looks like.
Yep.
In portions of South Main. So this is a commercial section or commercial and residential?
Cushing Street is almost all commercial.
Commercial.
Yeah,
Commercial and institutional building parking. Okay, so
right.
under that, okay, so that makes sense.
Then if you go down Stone, you have commercial and you have residential. And a lot of the houses on that street can go either way.
Right.
Like a lot of the residential buildings that front onto Stone have a hard time getting in and out because of the traffic.
Right.
Penny Porter's place, she, it's like doing kamikaze for her to back out. She's got some leeway, but not a whole lot. And the old hotel that they've made into apartments and I was trying to think, I can't think of the name of the hotel. It has like a little bar and there's apartments. It's Stone and the Clifton. Yes, okay, it's the Clifton. They come out onto Stone, but a lot of their traffic goes into the alley and then onto 16th or 15th. Yeah, it goes out onto Russell. And there are residentials. There's the backside of Penny Porter's place, and then there are residences that face out onto Russell. But they're pretty respectful. I mean, it's not like you've got a tremendous amount of traffic.
So the new guidelines would suggest that this is closed.
Yeah.
You have to go back out the way you came.
Yep.
I think that makes sense.
If you bring the map back a minute and let me show you what's going on further north.
1 second. There we go. Okay. Further north.
Okay, up over 15th. Okay, so when you get to the downtowner, their parking is underneath and they've got access to Russell. Okay. But most of it, on this side, there is no residential. So the only residential is the backside of the house that's just north of me. So that's not too bad, but the bungalows get a lot of traffic.
Did you guys see that project come through when they built it?
The downtowner,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the worst building on earth for the people that live there. Maintenance is a problem. It's pretty awful. Anyway, let's go back to guidelines.
Yeah, so this all looks good to me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
I think we had a brief conversation about the resident artisan too, and whether or not that we've seen that type of use. We have, right, recently?
Yeah, we have.
So what
But
is the definition of a resident artisan?
they're living either in their studio or adjacent to their studio, is my understanding. But
Yeah. Is that is that an artist or a woodworker? Is there any reference to that?
the ones that I am aware of, it was a woman who was a ceramist. She had 2 gas and electric kilns, and she was in one of Kelly Rawlings's units, and she was an artist in residence.
Okay. That makes sense. Adhere to the design guidelines for signage. So that should be under signs, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it
I
should.
don't think we need it.
Or we didn't, yeah. Yeah, I'd get rid of it.
So this first bullet point is sort of informational. As long as, I'm just trying to think back to what Jody was saying about referencing the code. I guess as long as we're not quoting the code.
Right.
No. In other words, we're telling them to go fish. I hope. They need to go look it up.
So this note about business signs being limited to 1 street frontage per premises, is that a UDC thing or is that a our design guidelines thing?
I believe that's a UDC thing.
So do we want to include maybe this language or to keep more to the design and less to the location? What do you guys think?
When we were looking at, I think it was not the Crown, but the restaurant that's behind it. And we had the guy did some research, and I think he put the sign, the way that he did the sign, he was advertising for that restaurant, but the Crown has, I believe, another flat sign that's like right at the corner.
Is
So
that the Coronet, Mary Lou?
the Coronet, yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, they've got a couple different signs up.
It's maybe too old.
Yeah.
Another-
Well, there's the cafe sign is there to the right.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking that the guy
That
did the
one.
research and and everything else is Rawlings property. They have like the flat signs on the building that just tell you in which direction to go, but it's not, like the cafe sign.
So you're thinking this one was, would you want to restrict that type of signage moving forward using the design guidelines?
I think I'd want to see the sign before I said yes or no. What are they putting up and how does it look? How does it fit into the rest of the streetscape?
Makes sense to me.
Jody, individually, the signs do come through us, right? Even if they don't have a building permit.
They typically come through as a minor review.
Mhm.
We've done those. So that's why you're not seeing them at the full board.
So I'm thinking this highlighted bullet point, and then I wonder if I can do this. Yeah, this one are both talking about like this, the size and the location, which might be more UDC things, whereas the one in the middle and the one after it are more talking about the design of the sign. So maybe we eliminate those two that are highlighted. What do you guys think?
I agree. Jody, is that true that the UDC will tell you 1.5 square feet for resident artisans, and then what is it, 8 square feet for commercial purposes?
Yeah, so the UDC, I believe, does limit the size of the sign. I know that was updated not that long ago. And I can ask our sign guru about that. But the other one, do not hide the features of your building.
Right.
That part of it, I would say, is not necessarily something that you find in the UDC, because sometimes you have people who have they have the transom, like a prism glass on the transom, and they want to just put their sign over that because people think the bigger their sign, the more business they're going to get. And which is not true. But so then that becomes a problem. So I wouldn't say, and that is not something that's in the UDC about blocking your features, or, then they have decorative brickwork that they want to block or something like that. So I would say that that's something more within your purview. And I try to steer them before you even get there, but yeah, that doesn't always
Yeah,
work.
so we could strike that out, Grace, I think.
So we'll keep that first sentence then.
Yep, and then that other one. And then colors looks good. Signs attached to masonry buildings should be attached through the mortar joints. So maybe we could add signs attached to exposed masonry buildings. Where it says narrow and flat signs can be hung from stationary canopies. What is a stationary canopy? Just an awning?
Yeah, an awning that comes out that's attached to the building is typically a stationary canopy. Although sometimes that's like got a height issue because
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
you're asking to bang somebody in the head when they walk under a canopy and
Yeah.
line hanging
Yeah.
down.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'm thinking maybe that's something that we could, if it was proposed, we could talk about it, but maybe we don't.
Yeah, if it comes up, then we could deal with it, but I guess I wouldn't put it out there.
Yeah, okay, great.
And flat signs attached should be flush mounted. I mean, personally, I'd rather see them detached off the wall a little bit. It kind of also gives that whole theory that new things should not mimic the old. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I guess I'd want to see it. It's just one of those things that,
Yeah, I just think it looks a little, I mean, we can go back to that later, but I just think if it's projecting off of the facade of the building, it just looks a little bit more refined. I've seen some signs that are just slapped right onto the building and they look really weird to me.
Yeah, I agree. Having a little
Yeah.
stamp is a
Yeah,
better.
like ½ inch or something.
Yeah.
Projecting signs that are limited in size can be attached to building fronts. What does that mean? Signs that,
I think is it like the cafe sign? It's a flat sign, it's attached to the building,
but it projects out.
but it projects out.
But
Yes.
what is are limited in size?
It's a blade sign. So a blade size sign, they're just saying they have to be smaller rather than larger. They're not going to allow a huge blade sign to come out.
And the blade sign, Jody, is the one that comes perpendicular off the building, like the one we looked at. Okay.
That's a blade sign. But you could, I mean, in theory, you could also have other types of projecting signs. Like somebody wants something to just stand proud of the surface by quite a ways. So you mean you have your raceway that the sign sits on top of, and then you just have other stuff that goes for there. I've seen a lot of different signs.
Okay. Underneath that bullet point, sign types, there's no sign types underneath that. Do we need to define it?
Yeah, so these are the following sign types will be considered residential buildings.
Signs that are.
Yeah, I think we don't need this. So the type would be small identification panels.
At entrances.
Okay, should we jump to streetscape?
Yeah.
That section looks good for
Yeah,
me.
it does.
So you said that the that minor review that you did today is coming back for a retaining wall minor review?
It's coming back for a gutter review.
Oh, gutters. Okay. Front fences, and Paul already made a comment about this. I guess it was a little while ago.
You have a blank spot there about the height. On the fourth bullet point down, yeah.
Yeah, what is the deciding, height for front fencing?
And the way that that's worded, front fencing is traditionally up to blank tall. Was there traditionally front yard fencing in the neighborhood?
Yep.
Not really.
Maybe just take that out, that sentence. You're opening up that argument.
Oh, okay.
Not that I didn't, well, you might want to leave the second part when the fence is in conjunction with the retaining wall, height is measured from the higher ground level. But
Yeah.
just that first part.
So the bullet point right above that, I mean, there's two of them, front yard fences must not block the view of the house. So we should leave that in.
Yes.
Front fence heights should be appropriate to the scale and style of the house and streetscape, and leave that.
So chain link, unpainted redwood, rough cedar, stockade. I don't know what stockade is. Post and rail or gabion structures are not acceptable as front fencing. Are they okay as back fencing or side
Well.
fencing? About a house that's a corner lot and that's going to say, well, I want to put that on my side.
No.
I mean, I think we could leave it in there, but also on the top, it says that side and rear yard fencing is not reviewed as stringently. I mean, I think we take that all out. I think it should all be reviewed the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're not going to allow gabion
Yeah.
in the back.
Yeah.
So so Paul, how would you suggest we modify this? Because I see your note here about chain link actually being historic and appropriate. Should we just remove
Yeah.
there other
I
ones?
would remove chain link as being not acceptable.
Uh,
Do you think it's acceptable, Paul?
Historically, it's the most common form of fencing in the El Hoyo neighborhood.
Yeah, but
There are half a dozen fences that have signs from the Western Fence Company that have a 5-digit phone number. I did some research, and that predates the 1947 North American numbering system that established our current area codes and 7-digit phone numbers. So they definitely existed in the historic period. So there's really no argument that they're not a historic element in the neighborhood.
so you're saying that those numbers that you looked up predated the 1947 or 45?
It was the 1947 that the North American numbering system took place. So the fences were put in place before then. An interesting thing is that chain link fences were patented years before barbed wire fencing.
I mean, how would we take it as a review if somebody's coming with a new project and they want a chain link fence in the front? Are we just going to allow that? I mean, I don't think it's appropriate. I mean, because it's old doesn't mean it's
No.
good.
In
You
the
know,
same,
I said something about existing chain link fences on historic properties predating 1945 are acceptable, but I mean, I just
yeah,
can't.
that I would go for.
Yeah,
but
I just-
wait a minute. In the same vein, let's say you have a lower income individual who comes forward. She's not this somebody who's been a long time tenant of the neighborhood, and they just need to fence their front yard, and what they have money for is a chain link. Would you allow that? I mean, you can't. A lot of these are, chain link is it. Yes, I get it. Nobody likes chain link, but it is also economical for a lot of people out there. And not everybody is a wealthy person who lives in Barrio. There's a number of people who are lower income people that chain link is their option. And it does what it's supposed to do. It's keeping kids in and dogs in and strangers out.
yeah, I get that.
And it doesn't obstruct the view of the property like other fencing materials.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm thinking in terms of somebody coming with a new build. I mean, they obviously can afford to build the house. I don't think chain link on a new build is necessarily appropriate. I think if it's I don't know. I mean, if it's existing, I think it should definitely be able to replace it with similar materials. They don't have anything and they want chain link and they've been there for a long time. The house has. I mean, that's up for discussion, I think. I just don't want to release this and then every new builder that comes in there, oh, I'm going to put chain link in because it's in the
I mean, I question whether the new builders will want to put chain link in. I think the new builders, they're going to be trying to sell their houses and they're going to have a hard press to sell a new house with chain link fencing.
Yeah, agreed. But I think there's always builders out there that look at the bottom dollar figure and it's the most economical for sure.
So if we don't.
I'm not gonna, I mean, you guys, if we want to keep it, I can go with that.
Yeah, so if we eliminate the language here that references chain link, then we leave it open to then have the discussion in the meeting.
Yeah.
I think so. Not banning it isn't necessarily a bad thing. But then, yeah, if this is being used as the like, well, I did everything to your guidelines, you're being unreasonable, and you didn't say no chain link, then you have to face that too, I guess.
Well, I mean, in taking it out. So I agree with Grace. You do one above fences, fence posts, and gates should have a regular, simple, decorative pattern that is visible, blah, 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 from the street. I mean, you can make the argument that the chain link is regular and simple and it's, allows the visibility. So, I mean, in taking it out, you're not approving it, but you are opening that discussion for a case by case basis, really. So you're not like saying, hell no, but you're saying, we'll talk to you about it. So maybe that allows for that discussion for a new build to come in. We are poo-pooing it, but somebody who's been there for a long time and every neighbor around them has chain link, it's okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do
Okay.
think we should have in there, those plastic slats that people put through chain link for privacy. I don't think that should be allowed. Guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know
I don't even
exactly
know
what you're
what those are
talking
called.
about.
Yeah, I don't know. Plastic slats.
I don't even know. In reality, though, somebody could get a chain link approved and then come back and put those in.
Right.
It seems
Exactly.
rather tedious, but they can come back and put that in themselves. I would say that would be something that would be part of the discussion. You would just have to remember that not to poo-poo that during the discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not allowed to obstruct the front view of the house, so those slats would be obstructing that, so it's a no-no.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Okay.
Curb walls up to 30 inches are approved in conjunction with fencing. That seems kind of high for a curb wall.
Is that like a retaining wall?
Yeah, I guess the retaining wall has to be however tall it is, right? They can't really tell.
So those curb walls can only be built if they've got a fence on top of them. Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, I've seen examples of that over there, especially in El Hoyo.
So a lot of people, that's something that they have in West University for people who want to have like a taller fence in the front yard because they're along a main thoroughfare where they do a solid portion on the bottom and they do like wrought iron or metal pickets on the upper portion. So they do like 3 feet and 3 feet and it gives them 6 feet. It still allows visibility of the front of the house, but also provides them with a sense of security because it's solid on the bottom, which is what they're looking for.
Okay. Guys, I got to take a 3-minute break. My bookkeeper's here. I'll be back.
Okay. So this one was tripping me up a little bit, but I think I'm understanding what we're saying here. So this note about fences at side and rear yards up to 6 feet tall and solid, I think, and Jody, correct me if I'm wrong on this, the UDC does allow up to 10 feet once you get some transparency.
I think that you're right. Like you can do 6 feet solid and then the upper portion has to be some kind of lattice or something like that to make it transparent. Although frankly, those that I've seen aren't all that transparent. I think that's semantics.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if we're contradicting the code. I guess we're not, we're just not telling them everything. Maybe we just eliminate that piece and then we rely on the UDC to police the height.
Well, and in the past, I noticed that like when you guys are reviewing fences, it really comes down to, at least with Armory Park, I think, it comes down to what other people or what's going on around it, if there's some kind of some crazy use behind it, or if there's a reason to have it that tall. But generally they're only approving like 6 foot, 7 foot fences. I haven't
At the Dusts project next to Creo, did they went higher than that, right?
did they? I think they
Well,
did.
they've got that structure outside and part of that wall was tall.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then
you're
it
right.
dropped
Okay.
down to 6. But I actually do think as part of that shed structure they had that was taller, they continued that wall to create a courtyard.
So we're not necessarily wedded to the 6 feet.
I'm not.
What do you think, Mary Lou?
I think I'll go back to something that happened quite a while ago. We have a 10-foot block wall on the backside of someone's backyard. Okay, in other words, their backyard, and then you have this 10-foot, 12-foot fence. And I guess maybe I'd like to leave the discussion open because of that, as far as the 6 foot tall. And as long as we're not contradicting the UDC, it's just what you're seeing, what I've seen happen is that it ends up being a real bone of contention between two neighbors, especially the one that built the 10-foot wall. So I guess I understand, that we shouldn't necessarily be wedded to it, but on the other hand, I've seen some real nasty fights over 10-foot walls. So I'm divided.
Yeah, no, I think consistency, right, to help make sure that we're not making people agitated.
Yeah.
But ultimately you're just doing the review. It is a public. I would say that we tend to don't do minor reviews for over tall walls. Like up to 6 feet, we've done just a minor review, but if it gets kind of a lot taller, then we'll push it to a full review. And those are public meetings. So it is then something that the neighbor is welcome to come to express their opinion and concern. But ultimately, if the fight ensues, it's a civil issue between the property owners. It's not really, you're a recommending body. So you're not even approving, you're just recommending.
Right, the director ends up being the
Arbitrator.
Yeah, he's the decision maker.
So just out of curiosity, and this might be off topic, if for example, I'm not going to do this, but say I wanted to build a 10-foot wall in my yard, do I need to notify my neighbors about the meeting? Like, how would they know to come and complain ahead of time?
They're posted. I mean,
You would just need to check.
yeah.
Okay.
The information is posted.
Yeah, I could see how somebody who doesn't know the system as well as we do could get frustrated about that. But you're right, at the end of the day, not within our purview.
Yeah, I have a neighbor that I will readily admit I have not narked on him, but I'm like, what the hell is he doing in there? And I always look his stuff up to see what permits he's getting. But again, I'm also somebody who does that kind of stuff for a living, so that's automatically what I go to do.
I'm always checking on what people are doing.
Oh, and I walk by the yards. We take the dog for a walk and stop and look, and we're like, what's going on? But during the last item, the updates, I'll show you guys some new stuff with EnerGov to look up stuff too.
Are you guys gonna be transferring over the Tucson Pro site too, or is that one staying?
As far as I know, I think that's staying.
Okay, cool. So do we want to leave this language in here and then we can make exceptions on a case-by-case basis if they still
I
bring
think
it?
so.
Yeah,
Cool.
You know, you do that last sentence, modern standing seam metal with whited corrugations and gabion structures are not allowed. Isn't that a little redundant from the earlier one that was highlighted where you poo-pooed? And did you have that right there? Did you have the steel, whatever it said down there, the steel with the wider?
I don't think it had that in there, but it had the gabion walls.
You might
yeah,
want
we could merge those.
yeah.
So this one is under sections side and backyard, and this one front yard.
It's front fences.
So maybe we add the standing seam. What does it say? Metal with. Then here, do we want to add any of these other fencing types? Can I?
Sure.
I want to just like zoom out so slightly so that we can see everything together. I guess not. Yeah, so would we allow unpainted redwood, rough cedar, stockade, post and rail for side or rear yard fences?
Not really.
I don't think anybody, well, I don't know that anybody would want like post and rail because that's really not providing the protection for the backyard.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And you have it called out as unpainted redwood, but do you just, how often is it redwood anymore? Do you just want it to be unpainted wood?
Yeah, you could just say unpainted wood. Who can afford redwood?
I mean, redwood's nice, but like, I don't know that people are using that. People, that's just asking for that to get stolen.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what stockade fencing is. It's just really tight pickets.
That's what stockade is. Okay.
Oh, you just Googled it. I don't know.
Oh,
Okay. So we just had this long conversation about wall materials for side and rear yards, and what's appropriate sort of in the district. Oh, also, is there a difference between gabion fences and walls?
well, I don't think so.
No,
More
it's
than a wall? I'm not sure. I would have called it a wall. but maybe it's a fence.
It would be nice to, under one thing, say Gabby, because basically you guys aren't going to allow certain things. But it like is getting repeated for each section. So it would be nice if it was just like, we're not going to allow this at all anywhere in the district.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah. Get it out of your mind. It's not happening anywhere.
Yeah. So I think that goes back to how we're structuring this in general. Like, are we anticipating that somebody comes to the design guidelines saying, I want to replace my backyard fence or backyard wall, and then they're only reading this section? Or are we expecting them to read the whole thing?
I think probably I'm expecting them to be really focused and probably just read what it pertains to them. And I think that's the reason that we repeated it a couple of times.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I think maybe it does make sense to just leave it in each section. Or if this is a big enough deal, we can put it at the top, right? Like, you get the cover sheet, table of contents, and then a list of things that you shouldn't do. But I think that list might get a little long.
So I did send out to you all a couple weeks ago the Pasadena ADU design guidelines that they put together, which hopefully you had an opportunity to look at them. They're pretty slick, but they actually use a lot of pictures, like and marks through pictures, yes, no, which makes it really easy for people to go through and figure out what's allowed, what's not allowed. Mind you, those were only for ADUs, but I thought it might be helpful too, just because it does get text heavy when you're going through there. And people probably will flip right to what they needed to flip to, but it was just a thought. I saw it and I forwarded it. But it's something to think about as we're continuing to edit.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't mean for you to take that down, Grace.
Oh, I was just pulling up the other one. I just thought you guys didn't want to see how unorganized my email inbox is.
So they use a lot of like pictures, like in simplified drawings. I mean, it's pretty nice. They hired another company to do it. They hired some consultant to do it. And God only knows how much money they spent on it.
Yeah, but it's Pasadena, so they can spend it.
But see how they have like, oh, this is okay, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always inclined to think a drawing is a little bit more helpful, but I think that I'm biased.
It's something, I mean, and like I said, I don't expect you to do it. I thought it was helpful, and it's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, especially the things that we're talking about, we're reading through it and we're saying, hey, is that clear? Maybe we can tag those and see if there's a way to do it without overcomplicating the text and just put in a quick drawing.
A drawing or like a photo of something. You can just
You know what that made me think? We're asking what Mary Lou's giving us all these examples, and I'm pulling up the street view, right? We could have that, not every example, but one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And further down, they actually, like, if you go further into these, they actually go to the different styles. And then like what's appropriate, which was kind of interesting, like different doors, garage doors, whatever, that are appropriate for whichever style they're dealing with or talking about. It's kind of interesting. And then they just have photos like around the neighborhood. So you're like, oh. Anyways,
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea.
that's the stuff I geek out on. So earlier you were having that discussion about the up to 10 feet. And now you have side and backyard walls traditionally do not exceed 5 feet, but maybe up to 6 feet in height if consistent with the development zone. Is that something you want to maintain in there, that text, that sentence?
Yeah, we left the 6-foot height requirement.
Yeah, we left it in.
limitation
Okay.
Up here too. This one.
Okay.
Do we have these? I know they're in Armory Park. I just wasn't sure if they're in our neighborhood.
There are mailboxes.
Okay, cool.
What is maintain historic collections boxes? You mean like the blue mailboxes that you put your mail in?
No, they used to, and I don't know if there's any left in the neighborhood. They were sort of like a military green, or, and what they would do is they would collect mail and put it in the collection boxes, and then somebody would come by and pick them all up. It was like a way of storing the mail until they could get everything together. And I don't know if there's if there are any left in the neighborhood. There used to be 2.
Whose property was that? The USPS?
Yeah, it would be you. It was U.S. Postal Service.
Huh.
I mean, there's the 1 or 2 in Armory Park.
And we used to have 2. God, I'm trying to think where I've seen those. I think there used to be one on Cushing Street, and the one on Stone, but I think the one on Stone got replaced with a one of those modern neighborhood boxes with where everybody comes and gets their mail.
So whose decision would it be to remove or replace those? Is that like on a developer or on the
It's the postal
Usually
service.
it's
postal
Postal
service?
Service.
Would we see that if they decided to do that? I just don't know if this is in our purview.
No,
Potentially, but I think it's their project manager who would be the one to contact staff to say, hey, I need to have this reviewed. They may not be aware of it. So, and it's, you think the city is bureaucratic. The USPS is way worse. The last one, you have modern group mailboxes are to be located on the property and screened from the front streetscape view. Did you want to add to that to say how it should be screened, like with fencing, with
fencing and
landscaping?
vegetation.
Yeah. That third sentence, no driveway in the frontage of the building if access from side or rear possible. What's that called? A fragment?
Yes.
No driveway. Access from there.
And frontage sounds weird. Do you mean front?
Yeah. So,
New or expanded driveways on streets or major avenues are discouraged. I'm thinking of this one in relationship to that project that's going in the sort of in the middle of the block where it has a driveway coming out like a spider. He's got 5 parcels in there and they each have a driveway.
oh, yeah, okay.
I guess though discouraged, but not prohibited.
Yeah, but in his way, he doesn't really have much of an option.
Well, I mean, if this was a hard and fast rule, he would just have to come up with something else.
Yeah.
But if it's not that big of a deal, the thing that I was most curious or concerned about with that proposal is how many street trees he's going to end up taking down. Maybe that's the vegetation section.
And
Yeah.
that's something you can definitely come back and have a discussion with him about trying to avoid them, or what is he going to do to replace those?
I figured he'll be back.
Yeah, in theory.
You know, I think if they replace trees because of poor condition, it should be replaced with the same tree.
Well, what if it's like a non-native tree?
Well, yeah, but I'm worried, what if it is a native tree and they replace it with a non-native? I mean, so let's use the word native and
They're just going to,
Hey, there we go.
yeah, boom.
it's actually not called TDOT anymore. They're now called DTM,
DTM?
Department of Transportation and Mobility. I don't know if that's spelled out elsewhere, but
Gotcha. I'll highlight this so we can double check later on.
and then the next one down, you also use TDOT. In between it and recommended, you should have it is. You should have is recommended.
It
Mhm.
is and are considered. Are these the top 4 offenders?
Olive trees are everywhere, though. I have an olive tree in my backyard. What? So this, I know I say this too. Vegetation is not generally considered an appropriate solution for code required screening. But then on the mailbox thing up above, we just said vegetation.
Yeah. So do we want to remove the vegetation up at the mailboxes?
Do you want to say or walls, since we made a distinction between vegetation and walls earlier? Or is fencing the way we want to go?
So do you imagine or think that like, so I'm trying to like think about this, a modern group mailboxes are usually just stuck up at the front of a property in the right of way, because that's where the guy is, right?
Right.
And then you're gonna have fencing around it, which calls even more attention to it. Maybe a thought is, rather than fencing, so then you're gonna have this weird little fence right around there. Maybe a way to think about modern group mailboxes, less about fencing and disguising it and more about painting it a color that helps it blend in a little as much as possible. I mean, it's, you know, an ugly group mailbox. Does that make sense? So instead of having like a silver thing, maybe it's tan or brown or something like that to help it just be a little bit more toned down and consistent with the color scheme that's in play in the immediate area.
Yeah, yeah. Also, if we have just like a little bit of fencing there, it becomes a safety issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a weird, then you just have this weird fence, but half of it's still visible because it's not like the whole thing's going to be fenced. Because people would still have to get to their mail. So you're talking about fencing possibly on 3 sides.
It also says the group mailboxes are to be located on the property.
But typically they're on the property, but they're just right behind the right of way.
Yeah, aren't they right usually in the right of way?
Well,
I mean,
or right behind the right of way. I don't know how USPS makes the call of where they're located. Yeah, you know, it would be really cool. You should encourage murals.
Over there.
Oh, no, on the mailboxes. They have that big backside and sides that like, that would be super fun.
Graffiti too.
San Diego has a program, I guess, with local artists and such that like all those utility boxes that you see around, they're painted. So they have people who always come in and paint the utility boxes. The larger utility box. It's kind of nice because then you just see all these different, it's not the same person, it's always different people. But it kind of, instead of just this big green box, it's got nice paint on it. It looks cool. Sorry, I digress.
Yeah. We're running up on 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So should we just cut out here at rainwater harvesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many more pages are there, Grace?
So we are on page
32.
32. So there's 43 pages total. I think some of them are, yeah. So we have about 10 more pages.
Some of them are resources though,
Oh yeah, and these are
Definitions.
and definitions.
definition. Good point. Terms of reference.
You're making good progress.
Yeah, so 37 and a half. 36 and a half.
Jody, we're still gonna have to slim this down, right? I mean, that was one of our Armory Parks challenges, was the length of their guidelines.
Yes.
How long is the West University one? It's been approved.
I think it's up there too.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a bad thing,
No,
It just needs to be concise.
right?
Like,
not redundant. Did you want to set up a meeting for our next design guidelines review?
Yeah. Can we do it next month?
Sure, December.
Does that work for everybody?
sure.
The first Monday in December?
So you want to do it on the 5th? I will not be available, but Michael could come.
No.
And
What
then
about the 12th?
the 12th is your regularly scheduled meeting.
And do we have a meeting this month?
Yes, you do. Woo! So you'll have a meeting next week on
Okay.
Monday.
So should we do it the 19th of December? Or is that getting too close to Christmas?
You can do it on the 5th. I mean, Michael is, available.
Why don't we do it on the 19th?
Yeah, I think it would just be better to have you here, Jody, since you've been involved from when we started
The very
reviewing.
beginning.
Okay. Is everybody available on the 19th?
I am.
I am.
Yep,
Paul? Oh, did Paul leave?
we lost him.
Oh.
Mm.
Well, Paul gets to be available on the 19th. Okay, I'll
Okay.
send out a calendar appointment for the 19th.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have any staff updates, Jody?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys real quick. I'm going to share my screen. This is, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is TDC Online. This is our new permitting portal. So when you go to apply, everybody now, there's just one application for the special districts, and historic is considered a special district. So basically people will apply, and then you'll get notified, hey, it's in a historic district, and you'll go through the checklist for the historic, and it's all getting submitted here. You can also, in addition, Grace was asking about it earlier about Pro. Pro is still available, so you can look up the older permits and stuff. But if you wanted to, everybody can just go to search right here, and you can look up an address, 520. So this is when I was looking to figure out who was there. So this isn't in your district, but you can go look up a permit, and it's all public. So you don't even have to set yourself up. You can do this all as a guest. So you can kind of see like what's going on, what kind of reviews have happened, locations, how far along it is in, everything like that. So this is the new permitting system. And then on our side, EnerGov, we're now in week two of EnerGov. Where we're like moving along and figuring out how to do our reviews. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys the TDC Online. Now I went away from TDC Online, but TDC Online is the new permitting way. Yay.
Cool.
That's our main update.
Okay.
And I already told you we're still on hold with the whole split thing, so. And that's it, really. I have.
All right. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting for
I'll
today.
second it.
Grace,
Yes, let's do it.
let's do it. Mary Lou
Yes.
and Paolo, yes. So we'll see everybody next Monday for a full review meeting.
Hey, do you
Okay.
know when Paul left?
No.
No.
I think it should be able to tell us. Let me see. Participants. I know with Teams, it gives you like a attendance sheet at the end.
No, I don't think Zoom does that.
Yeah.
I'll try to figure out. No worries. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
You
Okay,
bet.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.